Hello and welcome! Today we will look at yet another ThinkPad, specifically ThinkPad X1 Yoga Gen 6. This generation introduces some great improvements over the 5th generation, while still heavily focusing on business users with great security features and durability. Undeniably, still a ThinkPad, but full of innovation and great new features. However, it's not all great, as we will show you later. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. X1 represents top-of-the-line Lenovo's commercial products. We have also reviewed latest addition to the family, X1 Nano. If you want to check out that video, click on the link in the description down below. X1 lineup also offers famous Carbon, now at its 9th generation. X1 Titanium Yoga, a lightweight laptop with 3:2 aspect ratio, X1 Extreme Powerhouse, and X1 Fold, the foldable ThinkPad. If you want us to do X1 Fold review, let us know down below in the comment section. Lenovo borrowed Yoga name from their consumer counterpart in order to create this versatile 2-in-1. Now, this is where things get a bit confusing, since Yoga lineup does not any longer mean 2-in-1 convertibles, its name suggests, but rather premium, top-of-the-range products. To make matters even more confusing, Yoga models can also be found under IdeaPad name in the US. Anyways, back to our review here. ThinkPads are mainly targeted on business professionals. Therefore, every generational change or improvement needs to be meaningful and valuable for the end user. If it's just a trend or a gimmick, you won't find it on the ThinkPad. This is how much Lenovo understands their target customer. ThinkPad users are not what we would call an early adopters. So at the first glance, on Gen 6 we can see larger trackpad. Well, actually, it's only wider, yet they still keep the legendary track point and the 3 clickers. Next, Lenovo introduced 16:10 aspect ratio. I mean, that's what you should do as a laptop manufacturer in 2021. There's really no reason to have 16:9 with those thin bezels. Everyone can appreciate some extra vertical real estate. As you can see, ThinkPad Yoga comes in this brand new storm grey color and not a typical black finish so iconic for ThinkPads. X1 Yoga weighs 3 pounds or 1.35 kilos, which is not bad for 2-in-1 workstation. It's also very thin at 14.9mm. Considering how durable this laptop and its hinge are, this is very good. Speaking of durability, these chassis are made of aluminium and it was tested against typical 12 military-grade requirements and more than 200 quality checks. Therefore, you won't need to baby this thing, but instead make the best of it without worrying about some accidental damage. This is still a ThinkPad after all. Power button has been moved from the side to the top of the keyboard area, and it also serves as a fingerprint reader. It is always great to have an extra layer of security. Speaking of security, X1 Yoga also supports Windows Hello Face Unlock thanks to 720p IR camera with privacy shutter. Thanks to the IR blaster, you can also set your Yoga to pause the video when you look away or blur whatever you have on your screen when you leave the desk. I mean, these are some nice AI presence detection features, but they are not for everyone. Also, note that AR camera is optional. Hopefully in Gen 7 we will see 1080p webcam upgrade. Right, let's talk about keyboard. I mean, that's what ThinkPads are famous for. Keyboard on X1 Yoga Gen 6 is great, no doubt, but travel distance is only 1.3mm instead of typical 1.5. Don't get me wrong, it still feels very nice and comfortable to type on, but this slight travel distance decrease is a result of laptops getting thinner and lighter by each year. Question is, at what point manufacturers will go too far? I'm sure many users would prefer slightly thicker laptop with better key travel distance and larger battery. And yes, FN and Control keys are swapped around, a signature for ThinkPad keyboards, but if you don't like it, you can easily swap them around in Lenovo Vantage software. Downside of this keyboard is that despite having a backlit, it's not an automatic backlit using the ambient light sensors. Instead, you can choose from two-stage backlit manually. Oh yeah, and this keyboard is spill resistant for those clumsy hands out there. As mentioned before, trackpad on Gen 6 is wider, specifically 110mm or 4.33 inches wide. Of course, for those hardcore ThinkPad users, track point cannot be missing, together with 3 dedicated buttons. Now, this panel is something to look at. Absolutely stunning, with resolution of 3840 by 2400, IPS at 500 nits of brightness with touch support. This panel is an HDR enabled with Dolby Vision standard support, and it's not just bright enough, but with a 90% DCI P3 color gamut, also pretty color accurate. TUV Rainland, certified for reduced blue light emissions, is also here to protect your eyes during those late night sessions. Unfortunately, it is locked to 60 Hz, which is a bit shame because we can now see many consumer yogas coming out with 90 or even 120 Hz of refresh rate in some cases, which completely changes how interaction with UI feels. If you would go and configure a model, you can actually choose from 4 different display options. We would recommend getting a matte finish with nice anti-reflective and anti-smudge coating. Our test unit here is a top of the range spec priced at almost $2,400, but prices might vary by the region. This model has i7-1185G7 with Intel Iris Xe graphics, 16 gigs of LPDDR4X RAM soldered, 1TB of PCIe SSD, Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.1. Cooling on this laptop is good and has no issues to stay comfortable to the touch even under heavy load. Thanks to this, CPU can run at 20 watts pretty consistently. Fact that we have 2 smaller fans instead of 1 large one also helps. Sadly, no AMD SKU available at this point. It's great to see Gen 6 retained USB-A. It is slowly but surely being replaced by USB-C as a standard, but we just appreciate one USB-A. At the end of the day, this is a business laptop and you don't want to be carrying extra dongles with you on a business trip. Unfortunately, there is no SD card slot present here, but considering you can only get X1 Yoga with Xe graphics from Intel, you should not really need one. If you get an optional 4G or 5G, you will of course get a nano SIM card slot. And the storage silo on the side, we can find this thin and tiny pen which gets the job done. It uses Wacom ASE active technology on board. It also charges in a silo, great solution in my opinion. You won't easily lose it or leave it behind. I mean, look, this pen is not meant for any drawings or illustrations, it's meant for the business users to sign PDFs or just take some quick notes during meetings. X1 Yoga features pretty small 57 Wh battery with rapid charge support. This means that with only 30 minutes you will gain 80% of battery life. Lenovo officially claims 16 hours of battery life, but on the test unit we managed to get over 7 hours of on-screen time. I mean, that 500 nits panel surely eats out battery faster than other configs. X1 Yoga comes with 65W USB-C charger. Now let's look at some benchmarks, which should give you a better idea how does X1 Yoga compares to other laptops we have recently tested. At PCMark 10, X1 Yoga scored a decent 5044. 10,250 goes to Essential, 6,674 to Productivity, and 5,093 to Digital Content Creation. Considering Yoga has integrated Intel Iris Xe graphics, that's not bad at all. 3D Mark benchmark showed us that Yoga Slim 7 Pro with NVIDIA MX graphics is still more powerful than Xe from Intel. Time Spy 1763 and Firestrike 4571. At Geekbench 5, Yoga did pretty well with 1514 for a single core score and 5291 for a multi-core score. At the OpenCL test, X1 X1 Yoga was the second best considering Slim 7 has the dedicated GPU. This is a really good result. In the Cinebench R23, X1 Yoga scored at 5018 at the multi-core and 1419 in the single core. When we tested the fan noise under the load, results were identical, 39 decibels, together with the smaller 13-inch detachable and also most quiet if we ignore M1 MacBook Air, which only uses passive cooling. In Blender, as usually, we ran the BMW 27 benchmark, and the result was 7 minutes and 48 seconds. Gen 6 of ThinkPad X1 Yoga introduces some subtle but excellent improvements over the previous generation, such as wider trackpad, 16:9 aspect ratio, and new fresh color. Lenovo added Thunderbolt 4 and 4G or 5G connectivity for those who work on the go. Yes, webcam is still 720p, you cannot upgrade RAM down the line, there is no SD card reader, but when you compare Gen 6 to Gen 5, we are still getting some substantial improvements. Lenovo truly got this one right. It stays truthful to the ThinkPad DNA while introducing some great improvements. I mean, this laptop was never supposed to be a head turner, but it will get the job done anywhere. It is plenty versatile, durable, and powerful. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to leave a like. If you didn't, send it to someone who you don't like. Anyways, thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.